seconds. He's going to throw it. Howard leaps. He has it. Touchdown. Carolina back from the dead to tie the game with 2 seconds to go. Snap back, spot down. The kick is cleanly away. It is good.
And it's
with a
yes, sir.
54-yard field goal. And how about them Tar Heels? They do it.
Here's Kupak. Gives off to Amos. He's got it. He's Unbelievable. Unreal.
Jordan back to kick. It's blocked again. Picked up. It'll be a touchdown, Carolina, for Bracy Walker. He blocks his second punt and scores his second touchdown of the season. It's 14-13. Mr. Jordan beat Mr. Walker. Bernard fields it at the 26. Heading to the far side. Gio at the 35. Gio, he's at the 50. No, he's not. Yes, he is. Gio, he's going to take it for a touchdown. Are you kidding me?
This is the Heel Tough Blog Podcast on Spreaker.com. Welcome into this edition of the Heel Tough Blog Podcast. I'm Anthony Pagnotta. On this edition of the show, we sit down with Matt Morrow of Carolina Varsity to talk a little bit about the Tar Heels commits and targets in the Charlotte area. But first, we had to ask him about the Charlotte area as a whole and how he's seen it grow throughout the last few seasons.
Yeah, the Charlotte area has really grown in terms of high school football, and it's turned into a dominating thing throughout several conferences. We have, teams from 4AA all the way through 3A, and you could even stretch it to 2A if you want to throw in Shelby and Cleveland County in there. So, it's amazing. You see so many athletes, in this area, and it's almost turned into a Charlotte versus the rest of the state when it comes to high school football, and it's just a pleasure to be a part of, something that's really special.
Well, as you know, Mac Brown was hired at North Carolina, comes in for his second tenure, and one of the things that he talked about was really hitting the Charlotte area hard, and he's done that so far. He's got 3 commitments in the Charlotte area so far, and there are 2 guys that he is targeting that are both expected to sign tomorrow. Both actually are going to sign. They do have their time set. And we'll start with the guys that are committed, and we'll start with a guy that plays at West Mecklenburg, or played at West Mecklenburg High School in Joffrey Brown. This is a guy that when you look at the tape, you really just, it jumps out to you how fast this young man is. But he's more than that, isn't he?
Yeah, you did hit the nail on the head with the speed. He is a dynamic playmaker with the ball in his hands. Someone that, you can count on to make a big play, and he did that for West Meck a lot. But I think something that's underrated with him, 2 things actually, his route running and his hands. 9 times out of 10, the ball hits his hands, it's going to be a catch, and it's going to go for a long way. And then the way he's able to run his routes and get open, against different types of coverage, man, end zone, he's a 4-star recruit for that reason. And, the Tar Heels got someone special. I mean, he's playing with his brother, Diami. And,
Right.
We talked to both of those guys, when they were at West Meck, and they're both really good young men. That's the thing that stands out about them as well. They're good off the field, and, they're not going to be the kind of kids that get in any kind of trouble or anything like that. Just good representatives of the program. And, Carolina's going to be very happy as those guys grow in their careers.
Yes, for sure. That was one of those guys that I think everybody was happy to land, and right now is the headliner of the class. Also joining him will be another Charlotte area wide receiver. This one comes from North Mac, which plays up in Huntersville, and that's going to be Justin Olson. I saw this kid at the game when they played against Huff. I was out there actually taking a look at 2021 cornerback Mario Love. And this kid was one of the guys that just kind of stood out from the other side of the ball. I'd known a little bit about him, but this was a guy that has quietly kind of stayed off the radar. He ends up getting the offer from Mac Brown late on in his recruitment and ends up committing to Carolina. What can you tell us about him that, maybe he'll be able to show on the field in Chapel Hill this year?
Well, I'll tell you, the first thing that stands out about Justin, he's a student of the game. He's a very, very intelligent kid. We talked to him the last couple of years, going around to different schools, and just his knowledge of the game and his passion, to play the sport are things that really stand out about him besides his obvious athletic ability on the field. I think he's one of those kids that his best football's ahead of him. You can see in his senior year, he's grown tremendously, throughout his North Met career. To a guy that did a little bit of everything for North Mac. He returned kicks. He, caught the screens real well, the wide receiver screens. He ran the intermediate routes. And he, caught the deep balls. So, just the fact that you can put him about anywhere on the field. He can play the X or the Z or the slot. And, he's going to pick it up real fast. And he's going to talk about great hands. I mean, this guy, I don't think I've ever seen him drop a pass. And once again, another good character young man. And, Carolina's going to be very happy with him as well.
Yeah, those are two guys that played in some of the tougher conferences in the area as well. You go from those two guys, you get to a state champion and a guy that is also one of the lesser-known prospects of the class for the Tar Heels, and that's because, again, another guy that was recently offered. It seems to stem back to his connection with Dre Bly, but Charlotte Christian's Obi Egbuna is one of the guys that signed this weekend, actually this Sunday. They ended up bringing him in. I mean, I looked at the statistics on this guy, and I watched a little bit of the film on him, and this guy seems like he's going to be one of those ball-hawking corners. Am I right to say that about him?
Yeah, once again, you've done your research well. One of the things that you love about a corner is his ability to go get the football, and that's the big thing that stands out about Obi. They moved him around a little bit at Charlotte Christian. He primarily played at corner, but there were times they would bring him off the edge on blitzes out of the slot, things of that nature. Applied him at safety sometimes, and he excelled at everything they put him in. But a ball hawking corner, it's no wonder that connection with Dre Bly makes a lot of sense there, because that's what he was when he was at Carolina and in the NFL. So I think he might have seen a little bit of himself in Obi, and once again, this is another kid that I think his best football is in front of him, and that's the main theme I see with the guys that have committed. The staff of Carolina really has some foresight to seeing how those kids are going to develop, and I think they're all going to flourish once they get in that college program, getting that weight training and speed and development and all that. But once again, good character kids. I like what they're doing.
So we go from one private school guy to another one. We're going to go to the offensive line this time, and a guy that just comes off winning a state championship, and Tristan Miller on the offensive line for Charlotte Country Day. This is a guy that, committed to NC State, but North Carolina's been on him for a while now, and he still seems to have a pretty good connection with the Tar Heels. I know USC has jumped in late on his recruitment, but if the Tar Heels are able to get him to Chapel Hill, what are they going to be getting in this young man?
Oh, man. I like to call him a gentle giant. He's really good with his footwork and technique, especially in run blocking. He got that nasty edge. He plays the echo of the whistle, and that's what you want from your offensive line. If you're familiar with Javon Gwynn, who played at Harding last year, committed to South Carolina, I see a lot of that in him.
Wow.
with his demeanor and the way that he wants to finish on every single play. That's really impressive. And playing for Country Day and Drew Whitman, a really, really good coach. He comes from a good program there, good teaching. I actually observed, one of their practices with their offensive line. They do an excellent job in teaching progression and technique. So I think he's going to be a little bit ahead of the game if Carolina's lucky enough to get him. So
you mentioned that from the guys that you've seen, a lot of their best football is ahead of them. If this next guy's best football is ahead of him, that's going to be saying a lot, and that should really excite Carolina fans. It's Sam Howell. We've been talking about this guy in the Charlotte area for 4 years. I mean, I've been around this guy for 4 years, and I can remember as a freshman, I said, this kid is going to be special. When we talk about Sam Howell, if he was to come to Carolina, what type of impact could he make immediately? And is this a guy that you could eventually see being an NFL guy that we could see playing in Bank of America Stadium sometime down the line, whether as a Carolina Panther or just in the NFL in general?
Well, most definitely. I think if he came to Carolina and stabilizes the quarterback position, because, being a Carolina fan, there's been a lot of turnover there due to injury or whatever it may be. And, everything's kind of up in the air with who, may have the job, going into next season. But you get Sam Howell in there, it's pretty much, gives you some comfort. You got someone that's a 4-star talent, a great young man, buddy of mine, Tim Winters, with Union County football's covered his whole career. I've seen him from his freshman year, as you said, and the progression that he's made. He was already good, but that Sun Valley program was not great when he first started there, and he elevated that team to levels that I don't think they've ever seen. His leadership, he's made himself into more of a dual threat guy. The book on him used to be he was more of a pocket guy. He wasn't going to run that much, but he could definitely be an NFL guy. His arm strength is really impressive. Once again, advanced knowledge of the football game. Sun Valley, put him in the spread and just let him go to work. And, I think that if Carolina gets him, the sky's the limit, man. Especially with the offensive coordinator hire and seeing him in that type of offense. He's already got the experience with what they were doing at Sun Valley.
Well, yeah, I will be out there to see his commitment tomorrow, 2:30 at Sun Valley High School. Tristan Miller will declare his intentions at 8 a.m. I believe the Charlotte Observer will be out there covering that as well. So, guys, you can check that out, and we'll get those updates as they come through us throughout the day. But Matt Morrow of Carolina Varsity, you do a great job, man. I love it. I love the videos. I love seeing you out at these games. And, it's good to know that there's someone in the area that, is out there supporting these high school kids and doing the job that you do to try to get them some recognition.
Well, it's a labor of love. I appreciate, those kind words. And, the main thing about it is we do it for the kids. We don't, make any money out of it. We do it for our love for high school football and get the kids, some recognition. Because, there are a lot of people out there doing, stuff like this. But, if we can add to it, that's just one more thing that someone else, might have got some recognition that otherwise wouldn't get it. So I definitely appreciate that.
Yeah, no problem, man. So Matt Morrow, the Pet Man, as they call him. Tell him where. So okay, I'll ask you this last question. I'll let you go. Where did the nickname come from? How did they kind of put that together?
Well, I'll tell you, man. A lot of people ask me that, and they expect some kind of great story. But I'll be straight up honest with you. I just made it up.
Oh man! Oh, okay. All right.
We used to have a couple different other online high school football sites, and they kind of went away. So Dale Ross is the main man behind Carolina Varsity. He created that site, and we got to talking because I was coaching, and he said, if you ever step away from coaching, I'd love you to come on. And it's just one of those things. I'm sitting there like he said, you got to make up a username, for the site. And I said, well, I guess I'll just choose Pet Man, and it just caught on somehow. It's not some kind of marketing genius or anything like that, but it's pretty cool. It's cool to be recognized, and the kids come up and appreciate it, and the coaches too. So it's been a really fun deal.
Yeah, don't let him fool you. It is a great nickname. He is known in the Charlotte area by the nickname. I'm not sure many people actually know his real name. They just call him Pet Man, and you love seeing this guy on the sidelines. Tell them where they can follow you on Twitter to get some of this great information that you're giving out just about every high school football week.
Yeah, I'm on Twitter at PetmanCV. That's PEPMANCV. And you can also follow us at Carolina Varsity. And, we really, focus on Charlotte, but we do get out to other areas as well. Mm-hmm. And, for any kids that feel like they don't get the recognition where they are, you can always reach out to us, and, we'll take a look at your film, and, we'll give you an honest assessment, and we'll put you out there to the people that we talk with.
Matt Morrow, CarolinaVarsity.com. Hey, thanks for stopping by, man. This has been fantastic. And thanks for giving us a little insight on some of the guys that we're going to see coming to Chapel Hill next season.
Thank you very much. I appreciate the opportunity.
So that's going to do it for this edition of the Heel Tough Blog Podcast. I want to thank Matt Morrow for stopping by and talking to us about the Tar Heel commits and targets for tomorrow's early signing day 2019. Things will get going early for the Tar Heel targets tomorrow as 2019 offensive tackle Tristan Miller will declare where he will go to school at 8 a.m. at Charlotte Country Day High School. The Heels will be on the table along with USC, who has made a late push for him, and Louisville, who has former NC State offensive line coach Dwayne Ledford on the staff under Scott Satterfield, his former offensive line coach that he committed to at NC State. Miller's commitment right now is still seen as the most confusing of the day between any of the Tar Heel targets. Meanwhile, 2019 three-star defensive end Tamari Fox so far has not decided when he will make his decision, but it is expected that he will sign in the early signing period, and the guess would be that it will come down tomorrow. Right now, Georgia Tech is the leader in the clubhouse for the brother of current North Carolina Tar Heels defensive end Tamon Fox. But the Tar Heels are in second place as of this moment, according to most of the recruiting analysts, with Iowa bringing up the third spot. Those are the three hats that would be on the table if he was to make a decision tomorrow. But as of the moment, that is currently uncertain. Meanwhile, 2:30 will be the big time for North Carolina Tar Heel fans, so that's the time to take your lunch break if you have a chance. 2019 three-star defensive tackle Jaden McKenzie will make his decision. The Tar Heels have been the longtime leader for him, but Ohio State has made a late push, and under new coach Ryan Day, he has become one of the main focuses of the staff, and as of right now, the crystal ball predictions have him heading to Columbus to play his college football. It will be interesting to see if that is how it ends up panning out. Meanwhile, at that same time, 2019 four-star pro-style quarterback Sam Howell will finally bring his commitment to an end. The four-star pro-style quarterback has been through a roller coaster ride throughout his recruitment, and as of right now, it will be Florida State or North Carolina where he will play his college football. The Heel Tough blog will have you covered throughout that commitment, as we will be on hand to witness whether he picks Carolina or not. So once again, I want to thank you guys for listening to this edition of the Heel Tough Blog Podcast. As always, you can subscribe to the podcast on Spreaker, iTunes, Google Play, Spotify, TuneIn.com, or the TuneIn app, as well as iHeartRadio.com or the iHeartRadio app. Check out the Heel Tough blog for all your coverage of National Signing Day and for coverage of the Tar Heel football offseason. Thank you guys for listening, and as always, go Tar Heels!